I was scared something would go wrong. Half an hour went by and I thought he's probably called the police by now. Is it a criminal offence pretending to be someone you were, someone you're not now? Well, Shawsky wouldn't worry about stuff like that. It's all a day's work for her. She could talk her way out of anything. But my breed of rogue and PI as well, just a bit shit. The man was back behind the counter. I was a few rows away, but I saw him and I heard him say, "Noelle O'Brien. Noelle O'Brien." I was so far away in my head, wondering, would I have as much trouble trying to survive prison life as Piper Chapman did? And I was so unused to saying and hearing that name that it took me more than a few seconds to react. I finally realised it was me he was looking for. He's in a trap, I thought, but the guards waiting just out of sight behind the windows. Do people wear orange jumpsuits in Irish prisons? I stood up and walked to the window, feeling like I was going to pass out. "Noelle?" "Yeah," I say. "It's me." He was holding this crisp, official piece of paper in his hand. I wanted to grab it and run. "Born at Christmas, were you, Noelle?" "Yeah." "Yes." I warned to this because, Christ, at least that's true. I was. "What date?" I didn't need to ask. He had my date of birth in his hand. 21st, I say. "Need you wear?" "There you go." He handed me a freshly printed copy of my birth cert. A real birth cert. I wanted desperately to look under the heading Father. Instead, I began to fold it carefully and walk slowly out of the place. Just like that, Mary. I reached back into the past and took a hold. I sat in a coffee shop for ages looking at it. As I'm sure you know, there's a line drawn through the sections that say name, surname and dwelling place of father, and rank or profession of father. Oh yeah. And Noelle is spelled with one L. That's wrong, Mary, isn't it?
Your flat's still empty. No one has taken your place. And just last week, the student on the first floor packed up and left. Finished his course, I suppose, and moved back home. That's what happens, isn't it? A quiet lad, but nonetheless I notice his absence. Another one gone. Where are you? You gave no indication when you left of where you were going. No forwarding address, no redirection facility. I wish you told me, because post has arrived for you. It sits on the table in my freezing hall. A letter in a blue envelope sits here waiting for you. Dear Noelle, I heard you moved again. What in the name of God is going on? Are you running from the law or something? I can't keep up with you at all. I only hope you'll receive this. I wouldn't mind, but we heard about the moving from Charlie O'Mahony's half-sister Maureen, who works with Finbar up in the pub on a Thursday. Oh, she's a mouth on her like a bag of gooseberries. Nothing sweet about that one. And how did she know about the move and we didn't? And I never even have found out from Finbar if he hadn't let it slip the other evening, mumbling something about going up to Dublin at the weekend for some match or other, and wondering if he could bunk down in your new flat. Bunk down. The way he said it was like he was taking liberties where he shouldn't be, like some old hippie talk. And when did he ever want to spend time with you? No offence, like, but I thought it was a bit forward of him. I never raised him to be forward, that's for sure. Don't know where he gets it from. How that fella'll turn out is anyone's guess. Nothing else strange or startling. No more investigations. Good. I hope you've decided to put all that stuff behind you now, Noelle. All that asking about the past. No use dragging it all up again when it's all been put away. No use stirring the pot now, love. At least that's what your mother would want anyway. She wouldn't be able for it. Mind yourself, and God bless. Auntie Patty.
Kenilworth Lane, Harold's Cross, Dublin 6. Dear Father Murphy, it's been quite a while since I wrote to you, asking for information about your good friend Mary O'Brien. I've moved twice since then. I move a lot, so if you want to write to me, please use the above address. to hear from you. I have to assume by your lack of response so far that you do not want to contact me. It was hard for me to write that first letter, and any kind of response would have been welcomed. I am writing to appeal to you again for any kind of answer. Sincerely, Noelle.
That letter still waits here for you, by the way. It sits on the table in my freezing hall beside the public phone. Out of curiosity, the man who lives on the second floor, you know, grey-haired, distinguished-looking, anxious, lifted the letter up yesterday as he was passing through and turned it over to check his sender's address, I suppose. There's a name on the back of the envelope, written in a neat hand in blue ink, but I cannot make it out. I wish I knew where you have gone.
To sum up the case so far, Rita Brogan has found the missing person. Subject's name, Mary O'Brien. Born May 10th, 1946. Married with 4 other children. Rita's coming apart at the seams, though. There are still too many unanswered questions. To get answers to these questions, you need to get the subject in a room and not interrogate. Interrogation just gets people's backs up in this situation. You just have to ask the right questions. Before you get into that room, you have to build up a profile of the person who's going to answer those crucial questions. You need to know who you're dealing with. You have to make them feel like they can trust you. So you need to know their makeup, what makes them tick. Rita knows Mary O'Brien has a secret. The mysterious John fella? Seemingly there's a photograph of John that right now can't be found. We know there's a photograph of Mary with a little baby in a yellow dress in her arms taken in 1966. Can't be found either. Rita's job now is to get as much information as she can from Mary. Her questions may seem like trivial ones, but the answers are important. When the time comes, Rita will glance surreptitiously at her Where's Wally notebook and casually ask, do you like chocolate? Like, do you have a sweet tooth? Do you use your hands a lot when you talk? Do you like animals, especially cats? Do tears pour from your eyes when you laugh so people think you're crying and not laughing? Do you have strange-looking feet? Do you think of me on my birthday? Did I cry much when you had me for those 8 weeks? Why didn't you leave a photograph of me in that file? Will the nuns not let you? Why did you never go looking for me?
Dear Noelle, they found your father's gallstone. Isn't it great? We're all delighted here. He was so miserable, as you well know, when it went missing. The poor man was demented with the looking and the wondering where, but they found it right enough in his liver, as quiet as a kitten. They'll blast it to high heaven on Tuesday, and that'll be that. Well, as they always say, when once you stop looking for it, that's when you look no further than you have to. And anyways, your mother's in great form. She was wondering if you'd visit him in St. Vincent's, which I'm sure you will. She'd really appreciate that, for it's a long, long journey for us right enough up to Dublin. He's in the liver unit or thereabouts, somewhere on the 2nd floor, hopefully not on a corridor. Now, one of the consultants, or probably that lovely Asian fellow with the glasses and the lovely teeth, or perhaps one of the nurses minding him, likely to be your one Dimpner with the big shoulders, will tell you all about the exploratory and everything that went on when you visit. But we just wanted to write to you anyway, to let you know that it's all official like. Your mother was wondering if you'd bring him in a gatto. He's partial to the pineapple one. And tell him we'll be back up again after the Tuesday when we're expecting great things from him and can't wait to see the new man he is. Mind yourself and God bless, Auntie Patty.
Whitten Road, Terranure, Dublin 6, W. Dear Mary, I've been gathering information, asking questions, taking statements, asking people to dig deep into their memories of nearly 40 years ago and give their impressions, perspectives, and as much detail as they can. I've built up a profile of you, Mary, and where I fit in your life. Here's what I've learned so far. Statement from your husband, Dan.
Mary often spoke about Noelle, wondered what she was doing and if she was being looked after properly. She used to get upset when each of her other children was born, and at Christmas. Should have been a happy time, I suppose, but it brought back memories of Noelle.
Statement from your sister, Catherine.
You were born on the 21st of December, a Tuesday, I think. None of our family was there. Times were different then. I telephoned the mother and baby home the following morning and was told the news. Our parents didn't have a phone, so my husband got the bus down to tell them. A journey of 50 miles. He had to walk the rest of the way, 5 miles there and 5 miles back.
Statement from your brother, Tim.
Mary had photographs of Noelle for years, but they're lost now. She said the day you were adopted, she made a bottle for you to take with you, but was told you wouldn't need it, for you'd be home for the next feed. She felt you weren't going far. She was looking out the window and she saw the black car going towards Black Rock.
Statement from your sister, Catherine.
I saw you in your mother's arms when you were 4 days old. You in the yellow dress. There was a photograph of you both together, but nobody knows where that is now.
Statement from your friend, Peggy.
You're more like Mary than you'll ever know. Have her hands and the waiver.
The waiver. Such an Irish phrase. I've no idea what it means, Mary, but it's strangely comforting.
How can two lives remain so separate, so distinct, and yet be so tied to one another? Could fate not bring them together? Could good fortune not bless them with the chance encounter? Can someone not be found? I've often wondered why your search started here. I often think of what might have prompted you to start looking. There you are, still searching. I want to tell you what happened this morning. The elderly woman who lives in the ground floor flat placed her bag of shopping on the hall table to take off her coat when she came into the house. When she placed her bag there, she pushed the letter, the one in the blue envelope, which had been sitting on the hall table for quite some time now. She accidentally pushed it off the table. I watched it fall behind the radiator. The elderly woman did not see and she walked away. The letter is stuck there, stuck behind the radiator. And then you called. Out of the blue, you called to see if there was any post for you. The same elderly woman let you in and after some explaining, pointed to the hall table and left you to it. You sifted through the post, taking a postcard, a bill, and some junk mail. You placed the post in your bag, took one look around the hall and then left, firmly closing the door behind you. The contents of the letter crackle and break in the freezing cold. Its fragments weigh heavily on my conscience. What does the letter say? I wish I could find out for you. When will you be back? Will you be back? The elderly gentleman has left, by the way, and so has the woman with the 2 children who lived in the ground floor flat at the rear. The bicycles have gone from the hall, and so has the pram, and the incessant shouting which circled the building when their father called at the weekend has suddenly stopped. I feel as though I'm being emptied.
There's no such thing as an open and shut case. For Breda Brogan, this case is no exception. The file on this one will gather dust, but will never close. Father Murphy is the witness that you can't crack, the kind that stops you from closing a file and placing it in a comfortable pile in a dusty cabinet. Father Murphy doesn't respect any law except canon law. If Breda got him in a room for questioning, he would take the moral high ground, one would assume. He doesn't have to answer questions like the rest of us. He would smile in that beatific way and not answer questions about Mary's past. He's got canon law on his side. Even Rita knows they don't mess with canon law. Rita's mother always says,
"It's a making-up law that protects the innocently wicked."
if people slam the door on communication, there's nothing you can do. Rita sees them constantly, wary faces, peeping out from behind doors with security chains. No amount of pushing, threatening, appealing, cajoling can make someone open up. Father Murphy. Mysterious, unresponsive Father Stephen Murphy. Ordained in 1974, according to Google. Don't you just love Google sometimes? Father Murphy, who was there every step of Mary's adult life. Did he know Mary before he was ordained?
Dear Noelle, you do know it was Mother's Day last Sunday, and I'm only hoping that your card to your mother got lost in the post, because it certainly didn't arrive. I can't understand it. I mean, my letters can get to you in all your various abodes. Maybe it's our postman, Mrs. O'Neill, Charlene O'Mahony's half-sister Maureen's mother-in-law, told me he had a bit of a breakdown. Apparently his wife found him in the greenhouse, prostrate on the floor. Every single one of his prized tomatoes destroyed, splattered over every single pane of glass, if you don't mind. Shame, because the Tomato King County Cup is only next weekend. And he would have won without a doubt. Mrs. O'Neill says his tomatoes were only enormous. After all that care and looking after, why would he want to go and destroy them? You don't really know folk, do you? You don't know what might be going on in their heads, or what they might be hiding, or what they might have found out that they didn't know before, or what they wish they hadn't found out, but now that they have, it's just too late to not know all about it. My advice is to keep all those things to yourself. You might only end up losing the very thing you love, like our postman and his prized tomatoes. So don't forget to send off another card to your mother. I'll say nothing to her. And let's hope this one doesn't get lost. Sure, don't I know what it's like to be taken for granted? Fenbar forgot all about Mother's Day. Oh, he apologised. Said he'd bring me up breakfast this Sunday coming. But it's not the same. You feel like a bit of an afterthought, you know, stuck on at the end of an appendage. God knows what that breakfast will be like. That fella couldn't boil an egg, as the saying goes. I don't know how that happened, because his father can cook for Ireland. Rashers, sausages, the lot. Once presented me with a lemon posset I'll never forget. Still, you never know how people will turn out, do you? And Finbar's a good lad when all is said and done. Yes, he's a good lad. And sure, you can only do your best. Mind yourself, and God bless. Auntie Patty.
Leglin Road, Crumlin, Dublin 12. Dear Mary, you know that final walk down the church that a family makes behind a coffin at funerals? The saddest walk of all. There, every time I see real family faces, I see DNA, screaming genetics. I see noses that look the same down through generations. I see similar foreheads on men, women and children, all looking the same, generation after generation. I went home after my first funeral, my uncle's I think, and I looked at every family photograph I could find. I lined them up, and just as I would when my nephew was born and the cry went up, who does he look like? I looked at my red hair and freckles, and my pale, pale skin, that no amount of drinking carrot juice would make tan, no matter what. And I examined the faces of all those living and dead family members, dark-skinned, dark-haired, sallow-skinned people. And I thought, that's it. It's just me. Mary, your sister Kathleen, sent me photographs of you, your parents, and your brothers. I lined them up and looked at them. I saw something of myself in you, in that photograph of you in London the year after my birth, the build of you, tall, slim. I saw my pale blue eyes and protruding forehead in your brother, my Uncle Tim. Would I see myself in you if I sat opposite you in the room?
Someone will find that letter. Some builder will find it after ripping and pulling and tearing in his efforts to reconstruct me. And for sale, the sign has gone up by my front gate. The Dutch couple on the second floor have already gone. The two girls who share the top floor flat went in search of cardboard boxes yesterday, and soon they'll vacate. That leaves the elderly woman whose son, I believe, has found a home for her. So then, that will be that, an empty house. The estate agents describe me as having potential, a builder's dream. I apparently have a very versatile layout, with all amenities directly on my doorstep and easy access to and from the city centre. Imagine that. Some builder will find your letter and discard it. One more unimportant item in the skip, and you will never have the chance to know what was inside. Post can get lost, or worse still, can end up in the wrong hands. Goes to places it was never meant to go, loses all sense of